Welcome back to Minor League Esports presented by APM Music, and this is Sunday Showdown on the second stream here. We got done with an AL match, an Academy League one that ended up being a sweep, and now we're shifting up a couple of gears, several, to the Premier League. And my name is Thunder. I'm joined by a Premier caster, the real Mobags, who's going to be my partner for yet another match here. And Mobags, we've got more 3v3 here. And a series that feels like, if the stats lend themselves to it, it could be very lopsided for one of these teams.
Could be lopsided. It will definitely be sort of remaining to be seen. We thought that we were going to see a little bit more of a lopsided match the last time around. That wasn't the case. So expectations can always sort of be subverted as we sort of go into this. But we have the Jets representing the Forge division and the Hurricanes representing the Storm division in this matchup. The Jets sitting at a comfortable 19-11 so far this season. Very, very good. That is good for second in the Forge division. And then we have the Hurricanes sitting at 8-22. They have an opportunity here to make the playoffs, but they have to really completely turn around this season if they want any chance. They're sitting at under 1% opportunity right now to make the playoffs. So it'll have to be sort of a huge momentum shift in the season, in this game, in the series, all around for the Hurricanes to have a shot.
Well, I know caster math is not renowned for being great, but under 1%, I know at the very least that that's not a great chance of making playoffs. So there's work to be done here for the Hurricanes. I've stared down the barrel of playoff chances like that as a player myself, and it's not a fun situation to be in with the pressure that you put on yourself. If you just get told 0% chance, well, that's it. You're fine. You're playing for fun for the rest of the season, and that's it. But they give you that little bit of hope, and they're like, oh, you could make playoffs. You just have to win every single game forever. It's simple. It's really easy. So that is the task that the Hurricanes have, is that they're not completely out of the running, so they still have to work for this. But they're playing one of the top teams in the entirety of the Premier League, and one of the top players, notwithstanding, that being Vitaly on the side of the Jets, who has been just a standout performer in Premier League in general for the bulk of the season.
Yeah, and really just kind of been a performer in the last few seasons here at MLE, a very top-notch player, like you said. And just to sort of touch on the playoff chances one more time, it can either be sort of a detriment to your mental state, or it can sort of, in a way, be invigorating, because I have also found myself sort of with those odds, maybe a little better, maybe a little worse. But if you have that chance, then you sort of still have that reason to really push yourself here in the league. And we'll see if they're able to do that. We'll see if they come out quick. We'll see if they come out heavy. I think in this series specifically, I would maybe want to be a little bit more physical with the players on the field, try to disrupt their rotation, try to get in their heads a little bit, try to make it seem like they're not safe anywhere on the field. But we're going to get into this one, and we're going to see if the Hurricane are able to sort of send the Jets flying, crash them, whatever pun you want to put in there. We'll see if they're able to get it done here as we get going in this first game.
Well, if we're talking purely from a pun standpoint, a Hurricane versus a Jet is not a great matchup for the Jet, I'll be honest. I think they're thankful that team names aren't what make the ultimate difference, and it's rather their ability to play on the field. And the Jets here, they got a whole lot of ability, so we'll see what the Hurricanes want to do back the other way. We're still in 3v3 here, so the game is going to be very fast and furious as we're up to the Premier League level. And it's starting here with a bit of control from the Jets on the sidewall. Vitaly chips that towards the mid and tries to follow up with a dunk. Red goes to the sidewall. Banks tries to grab control of it, but it pinches back towards the Hurricane zone. In the corner, a couple of Hurricanes bunched up, but it gave them a monster pinch back the other way that goes right in front of the net. And Vitaly barely dives back in time. And surprisingly, it could have been the Hurricanes who could have gotten the opening goal, but it swings all the way back the other way. And Red just sort of gives that the final finishing touch to tap it home here for the Jets.
Yeah, and chances both ways. You sort of remarked slightly on the Hurricane being bunched up in the corner, getting a fantastic clear, and then the miraculous save there from Vitaly, just coming in from seemingly nowhere, getting that save, and it is right back down the other way. Red getting that goal, following that touch. This is Premier League. They are just not a little, they are a lot faster than we're going to see in Academy League, and every sort of micro mistake that you see on the field is going to be capitalized on if these teams have it their way.
Well, the Hurricanes here now, after that opening barrage in both directions, have a little bit of pressure for themselves on the net here. It's Banks who can't find the shooting accuracy to get that on target. Red's in trouble on the defensive line, and the final shot comes through from TKD. The Hurricanes have got themselves a tying goal at 3:46.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like it was too dangerous here for the Jets, but the Hurricane just keeping the ball in a dangerous position. They kept putting that ball on target. It wasn't a chance for a goal, but eventually it leaks out, and they have found the back of the net, tying us up and staying in this game. This is fantastic here for both teams so far, and a great start.
A fantastic start indeed, and it's close as you would hope. It may not stay that way for either team as we head down the stretch of the series, but you always hope you get a nice competitive opening game. That's exactly what we've got on hand for us so far here. This is 3:20 left to play in this game as a clear comes through from Banks. It's going to bank off of the side wall there, but it's kicked back into the zone by the Jets. Windle, touch towards net, presumably going to be saved by Banks. It is. Red thinks better of diving in on that play. The Jets going to go slow and steady on this one. And I think of the two teams, the Jets seem more likely to play that kind of approach. They look a little bit more calculated in the chances that they want to dive for, and we'll see whether that ends up benefiting them, or if the game pace really picks up, it could hurt them too.
Yeah, if you're a little bit too slow and methodical, you definitely can have sort of the other team counter that by just playing a little bit faster, by demoing you and getting you off of your rotation. So definitely look for these Jets to get maybe a little bit more daring as this series goes on. Ooh. And what a fantastic save coming from TKD, keeping that one out, keeping this game knotted at 1. That was a fantastic stop there on the line.
Was borderline unbelievable from TKD, because that shot, you saw it was headed straight towards the absolute top corner of the net, and all it needed was the slightest breath on the ball to get it steered clear. And TKD managed to find that in the nick of time to keep this at a tied game here. We're now at the 2-minute mark between the Jets and the Hurricanes in game number 1. That's a nice pass into the mid. Vitali, a banger of a shot on target, connecting on the pass, and that's the lead for the Jets.
Yeah, and just a little slow here on the rotation are the Hurricane. They were sort of getting back into position. They needed to be in position. They needed to be challenging that pass, not able to do it, and the Jets are going to find themselves ahead just under 2 minutes, like you said. And we're getting into this one. The Jets finding a little bit of room here as they get into it.
Well, we'll see if that room continues to benefit them. They look again for an offensive press into the zone. TKD is going to send that to the side, if only for a moment. Banks, with an opportunity for an air dribble, just loses the handle on it and ran out of boost as well. TKD sends to the opposite side now. Mamba in the backfield, circling and waiting for the end of the air dribble from Windle, but they get demoed for their efforts on that one. Now TKD evades the demo attempt. Musty flick attempt, didn't get a lot of power on it, still passed it mid, and Banks very clearly was not expecting the quality of that pass. That could have been a tying goal for the Hurricanes, but they just weren't ready for it.
Yeah, not ready for it on either side, as there wasn't really a meaningful touch from the defense, but also from his teammate not able to find that read. That was a fantastic play to get it there, and definitely very mechanically sound as we continue to go on to this. Hurricane needing to get one more, but they have to stave off a few of these attacks, and the Jets are going to be able to get this one cleared out, and now the Hurricane looking like they're going to be in a bit of trouble with this odd man rush.
A whole lot of trouble if that's going to be on target, and it is. Windle, who capitalizes on some defensive miscoordination here as Banks got turned around, just couldn't get their car position in time. And that's a huge insurance goal at 40 seconds. That's the kind of goal that you very often see being a game winner.
Yeah, definitely a game winner, and it's sealing it for him right now, and definitely giving a lot more work to do here for the Hurricanes, even more than they had before, just getting the game tied. But we're going to see a good opportunity here. That one's going to be off target, though, from TKD. It was a tough angle, a tough shot, but he had to get that one in if the Hurricanes were to have a chance, and now the Jets just wasting this time off the clock. Tick, tick, tick. There's only 17 seconds left. They still have the ball under the control. but that one also gonna find its way out, and then that miss is going to keep this game in control of the Jets.
And TKD, on the Hurricane side of things, by far the most opportunistic player for this squad in this game, and I think that needs to be matched by the rest of the roster. It felt as though the other two players were not as willing to dive in and join on the offense. Meanwhile, the Jets, they poured it on pretty evenly, and they felt like they had the better bulk of the control in the midfield as well. So a 3-1 win gets the Jets started off in great shape here, and that gets them up to 20-11 on the season.
Yeah, and I don't really know what the Hurricanes games look like when they're playing other people, but I'd say they looked pretty good here against the Jets, just falling a little bit short in a little bit of ways. We see that Wendell had 5 shots, equaling the total amount that the Hurricanes have. So clearly the Jets had a lot more pressure, but the Hurricanes seemed to do well with it. It was just a matter of finding those scoring touches. TKD, I mentioned, just barely missing that shot. That is sort of the micro adjustments, or the sort of little things that you have to do to stay in these games. They just weren't able to get those ones done. And we'll see if they're going to be competitive in these next few games here, but they were definitely competitive in this first game.
And all the way through, they actually got, I think, the opening goal of the entire game for themselves, or maybe I'm totally lost on that one. No, I think they actually, TKD tied the game with their goal that they got, but it did stay relatively close. And we saw in the previous series between another of the Forge and Storm teams, it was the Blizzard against the Spartans there, but it was a sweep where all of the games were close. So this could very easily end up being that way again for the Jets here if the Hurricanes continue to compete. But if you're a Canes fan, you're going to be hoping that it is not that way and they can find at least a game win for themselves. And it's got to start right now in Neo Tokyo, because the Hurricanes, they can't let the Jets get out to another lead and gain control of this series.
No, absolutely not, as we see the Hurricanes getting off to a quick start here, trying to get that one forced in. Not going to be able to find it as the Jets hold strong, keeping that ball out. But a couple of misses here from the Hurricanes are going to leave them in danger. But Red somehow misses that opportunity to put that one away, and now gets a second opportunity at it. Not going to find its way in, as the Jets are kind of all over this ball, but just not in a very dangerous manner.
And I gotta say, after that play, it's pretty obvious that Academy League and Foundation, they don't have a monopoly on consecutive whiffs in Rocket League. Every level of player can fall victim to that if the play goes a different way than you will expect, and that's what we saw there, right on the goal line for the Hurricanes. And speaking of the goal line, it's being threatened here by the Jets in the hands of Vitali. That's a good challenge, though, to get it away. Banks is beaten squarely to that one by Wendell. Red in the corner. Goes to center, taps, another one to Wendell. Great save and a great read on the play from Mamba to keep the Jets out. But the Hurricanes are going to be hoping for some offense soon. They cannot play defense for the entirety of this game.
No, they can't, and we've seen some offense as Wendell gonna put the first goal of this game in. And man, the Jets are out to a lead once again, and it kind of seemingly came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting necessarily a goal to be scored there. I guess that's when goals get scored in Rocket League, but man, the Hurricane were sort of putting up sort of a good effort, and it just falls a little bit short, and now the Jets are going to capitalize and look to try to bring some of that momentum through the rest of this game, through the rest of the series, and take this one away from the Hurricane. Hurricane have to respond here quickly.
They certainly do, but they're in the wrong end of the field to do that, and they're getting scored on again here by Red. That's a really troubling touch off of the top of the wall here. It's so difficult to deal with if you're directly underneath that, and Red capitalizes on that to make it a 2-goal lead here for the Jets.
Yeah, you sort of see that ball get 50'd and you're like, oh, I probably have a little bit of extra time, but no, that thing was going Mach 5 at the ceiling, came straight down in front of the goal, and no one on the Hurricane side was able to react in time. Red, seeing that one all the way through, puts it in, puts the Jets up by 2 here. A lot of time left here for the Hurricanes, but they've got to make something happen. They need to get this momentum shifted back into their favor. And that is not the way to do it, as Wendell's going to put yet another one in here for the Jets. 3-0 now for them as they continue to sort of just dominate here. Red pushing both players out.
Well, that single hit, that clear from Wendell, pulled not 2 or 3, but 4 of the 6 players on the field towards the ball to make an attempt on it. And essentially, at that point, if you have a hit that pulls that many players in, whoever gets that touch towards their side, towards the offensive side, they're probably going to score at that point in a threes game. And the Jets did exactly that. They just won the race to the ball. And it pulled way too much of the defensive resource away from the Hurricanes team to be able to stop that one out. They are now down 3-0 in this game. It's already not nearly as close as the previous one was. They've got a chance here, but Wendell's going to save that off to the side. Vitali reads the play extremely well. Launches the ball all the way downfield. That's challenged in front of the net nicely by Banks. TKD now. Air dribble opportunity cut off from the ceiling by Wendell, who sets up a pass for Red. Vitali with a shot opportunity as well. And the Jets firing on all cylinders here right now. They are just winning every race and threatening the net as often as they like.
Man, I'm in CL and I can't even fathom going for a challenge off the ceiling like that, but Wendell makes it work. Gets a perfect challenge on that ball and just opens the net up for Vitali, and he is not going to miss from that length, or rather that distance from the goal. Puts it one in top shelf, and now the Jets running away with this one, flying perfectly through this Hurricane as they continue to just lay on the goals and get this game even more out of reach for the Hurricane.
And you can see abundantly why the records are the way they are for these two teams. The Jets with the game win in number 1, 20-11 versus 8-23. And the Jets here are showing exactly why they're the favorite in this match. Got a lot of depth to their roster, a lot of capability in a threes mode that's new to MLE this season, but not new to Rocket League players. That's a great save by Banks to get that one off the crossbar, but they're not out of trouble yet. Banks is going to have to make another defensive play to get it out of the zone as the Hurricanes scramble to get across the midfield line. Touch out of the corner. Vitali reads with a half volley only as far as midfield. TKD now chips. Opportunity to follow up. Tries to pinch that downwards. It pitches side instead here. The Hurricanes trying to find even a single goal in this second game in the series. Vitali, a pinch towards the middle. Wendell peels on that one. The Jets fully aware right now that they do not need to overcommit on any given play. And even if they did, it would still be a 4-1 lead and not a great situation for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, really just completely out of reach here for the Hurricane, and you can sort of tell the body language of everybody on the field is just sort of, yeah, this game is over, let's get on to the next one. We want to see what we can do in this third game. They want to get out of this one as quickly as possible. I would suggest maybe them trying to just sort of go all out here, try to get a goal, try to get a little bit of momentum on your side as you get into this third game, because getting trounced like this is definitely not going to be sort of indicative of a good momentum shift for you, and that is exactly what they need on their side.
Not at all. They need to reel it in a little bit like they did in game number 1 and keep things more competitive. And maybe that'll just be an odd-numbered game trend here for the Hurricanes. The even-numbered game's not going so well for them so far, with a 5-0 scoreline for the Jets here. And as time winds down within the final 10 seconds, we'll see maybe a final attempt on net here from the Hurricanes. Steered aside by Wendell. Vitali winning the race to that one as well. And this ball, not down yet. Vitali, a shot on target. Red! They almost went 1-2-3, did the Jets on that play to make it 6-0. But regardless, that's a dominating performance and a major statement that game 1 was close. But we have a lot more to show, do the Jets here. And they showed it in that game, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Jets really showing that they've got a lot left in reserve there. They really went all out. Hurricanes really seemingly ineffective everywhere. They were very competitive in that first sort of opening kickoff scenario where both teams are trying to get some momentum going. They had some good shots on target, but the Jets completely smothered them after that point and after the first 45 seconds or so. Really dominating in this match. We'll see if they're able to continue that going into this third one. It's definitely a high bar to get to, especially with the level of competitiveness that we have in Premier League. But they are definitely one of the best at doing it. So we'll see. Can the Hurricanes sort of weather the storm? Oh, I guess it's supposed to be the other way around. But see if they can weather the storm and sort of get a game win. At this point, it seems like it's going to be tough to come by. But we'll see. Are they going to be willing up to the task?
I think too that the Hurricanes roster are feeling the sting in this game of not having their two top stat line performers of Jay and Fuzz. Those two players are well clear in terms of MVPR and stats for threes as a mode in particular. And not having those top players from your squad to lead the charge here, I think has burned the Hurricanes in a couple of games in this series so far, because the Jets are obviously leaning on Vitaly on the other side of the field to be a leader for their team. And it might have just been a roster mismatch that's really going to come down to how lopsided this series could end up being, and the Hurricanes might end up wishing that they had played just a slightly stronger roster to keep things closer.
Yeah, that definitely could be the case. But man, oh man, the Jets, I don't know if they would really struggle with any roster out on the field the way that they played that last one. We'll see if it does maybe play into it at all, if they are kind of getting completely dominated and then we see them with a different roster and it's a better outcome. But man, oh man, the Jets are looking really, really good, and it's just tough to stop when they're playing as well as they are.
Very true, and I talked a lot about Vitaly, but actually Wendell is leading the bulk of the stat lines for the Jets team. So it's a 1-2 punch that is well supported by Red as well. Like you said, the roster is just very filled out here for the Jets, and they look strong every which way. But we are deadlocked here after the opening minute of play. It's a whole lot closer than it looked to be in game number 2 here. And maybe it is the case that the Hurricanes just prefer odd-numbered games. Oh, speaking of odd things, that touch definitely meant to be forward, not backward. And there was not a single player on the entire field that expected that one. It's just that Vitaly was the closest player to the ball.
Yeah, that was a very bizarre touch on my perspective. Looks like a couple of players are also confused about it. That ball was moving forward on my screen, and then all of a sudden I saw it jet back to the other net. That is just an unfortunate miss there by, it had to have been micro epic units or psionics units, I forget what they're called, Unreal units. Man, oh man. That one's going to go back the other way though. Hurricanes going to tie this one up, keeping it close as this game continues to wind down, or wind up, maybe is the way that I should say it, as they are on series point here.
And that's a rare overcommit from the Jets offense that opened up the opportunity for a counterattack here. The Hurricanes, they were opportunistic in that scenario, as they should be, because they're not going to find, I don't think, a huge wealth of goals in this series, being the underdog in this one. They have to capitalize on the few holes that do open up, and they're going to tie the game with that one at the 3-minute mark here, as the Jets got to mount a little bit more offense for themselves. TKD has sent it back the other way, but it's collected by Wendell along the side wall. Goes off the ceiling, uses the flip to get it mid, but there are two Hurricanes there, ready and waiting for that one. Vitaly into the mid, loses the handle on that. Now Mamba into the corner, beaten out narrowly by Wendell. Touch outside, Wendell missing on that though. Shot on target, and Banks comes streaking in to take the lead here for the Hurricanes, and now they're starting to create their own opportunities.
Yeah, and it was just a lot of awkwardness here. Two players from the Jets on the back wall. Vitaly just a little bit slow to that play, a little bit out of it, and the Hurricanes find themselves with a lead. This could hold, and they could take this game and keep us with sort of a undecided series as we get into the 4th game here.
May very well be, although there's half a game of Rocket League to be played here, and a whole lot of things can happen. Not least of which could be a few goals by the Jets, who scored 5 nigh on 6 in the previous game, so we know they're capable of it here. Right now it's the Hurricanes sort of kind of with control, not really, as the ball gets sent towards their net. Wendell on the sidewall here. Ooh, gets a cheeky touch around Banks. Mamba's going to have to collect. Does the full-blown drift turn to get that ball away from the Jets here. And I think it's a really positive sign for the Hurricanes team that they're willing to get a little cheeky, a little bit creative on the ball, and not just make bread and butter plays and hand the ball to the other team. It shows, I think, a little bit of confidence in the series, even though they got blown out in the previous game.
Yeah, and it's not as fun to go just sort of full-blown fundamentals of Rocket League. You want to have a little bit of fun on the field, and it, like you said, definitely very positive outlook here for the Hurricanes, having sort of that little fun, cheeky touches. That one is nearly going to find its way in and get us back to tied, but it is not to be, as the Hurricanes keep that one out and keep themselves ahead in the match. they're having fun still, despite sort of the pressures that you would feel from the game. They're staying in this one, as that one's going to get pinched to mid, and both players up here for the Jets. It's going to get saved, and luckily that follow-up also saved for the Hurricane as they try to keep this attack under wraps here for the Jets.
Mamba with the double save there, a big defensive stand to keep the Jets from tying this game. That's a brilliant pass into the mid though. Fired on target, what a save from Banks. That one could easily have been crossbarred down. Hard to tell where the bounce might have gone. But the Jets are really picking up the pace here and looking for each other on the field more often now. They're sensing that their clean look at this series is falling apart a little bit here. Wendell's going to miss on the back line, forces a save out of Vitali at the last second. TKD, the follow-up shot, that one's going to be on target, and the game of persistence works out here for the Hurricanes, and they, this time, get the insurance goal at right around the 40-second mark.
Yeah, and man, oh man, that has to feel good after the defensive stand that they just had. Getting that sort of insurance goal to sort of just seal this last game here. Obviously, the Jets can still come back. They've put on plenty of goals before. But man, oh man, it's got to feel good here for the Hurricane, keeping the series alive, winning this game, and really doing it in a manner that the Jets probably didn't see coming. They were just very strong defensively. Look at the amount of saves on the field for the Hurricanes. I can't even count. It's too high of a number. Just kidding. It's 7, but that is ridiculous when you look at the Jets only having 2.
It is ridiculous, but it is exactly what the doctor ordered if you're the Hurricanes here. And as time winds down and a demo comes through to try to shut down whatever the Jets wanted to attempt in 0-second time, granted, they're going to keep the ball up here. Vitali's going to fire that off the back wall, fishing for a double tap. Jets are still trying to get themselves a little bit of momentum back in the series, but it is going to end 3-1 for the Hurricanes here. And they have, at least for the moment, staved off that series loss. It's now only a 2-1 lead for the Jets, and that's the beginning of a little miniature reverse sweep campaign here for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and they very well could do it. I mean, the way that they dominated, well, let's rephrase that. They didn't dominate the game, they just played better. They came out fast. They scored the first goal. I think they scored maybe the second goal. It was probably the third one they actually went ahead. Either way, that doesn't really matter. They played well against these Jets, and that was sort of kind of remaining to be seen. We weren't sure if they were going to be able to play with them. Clearly, they're capable, and we'll see if they're able to keep this momentum. That's exactly what we were talking about them needing to do. They did it, and we'll see. Can they sort of get this reverse sweep going into their favor?
And they just built it off of a simple counterattack goal on an overcommit from the Jets. Their entire empire in this series with that win just built off of that single play, and then they slowly developed from there into creating their own chances, as I said. So clearly the Hurricanes have enough capability here, not just to get one counterattacking goal a game and then have that be it. They have enough here to push through and really put the Jets under pressure. But are we going to see game number 2, Jets again? Because that team, I think, is a scary enough one that they could just win out here in this series. And you have to wonder now, dropping a game in the series, if they haven't, the Hurricanes haven't awakened a little bit of a demon here in the Jets team, who are going to be feeling a little bit more of an incentive to play their top game now.
Yeah, we'll see if it can, but I like the sort of mentality here from the Hurricanes right off the get-go. They see Vitali up, trying to go for a wall play, maybe a flip reset, maybe a ceiling shot, but a fast challenge prevents it and gets the ball cleared back down the other way. TKD up for that one, gonna get blocked there by Red, and then blocked again by Wendell. The Hurricanes trying to get this one back, or trying to get a goal here, trying to take an early lead, not gonna find it though, as the Jets hold strong, and this one is going to look really good here. Again, TKD stopping that ball from getting any further, not allowing any sort of mechanical prowess to beat them, just forcing the Jets to sort of be in better positioning, be just fundamentally better rather than mechanically.
I'm very surprised, actually, in that passage of play that we did not see a goal from the Jets, given how vulnerable the side of the Hurricanes were in terms of boost. But hey, they just had to wait a while to get it, as Wendell, showing a little bit of speed there in the middle of the field, is going to find a goal off of a weak sidewall touch.
Yeah, it was a delayed reaction there. They didn't realize that they had the momentum until you had mentioned it, in which case they scored promptly afterwards. Jets taking a lead here. That's sort of what we expected to see. but the Hurricane looked really good and kept that one out for quite some time before it actually finally found its way to the back of the net.
Well, meanwhile, the Hurricanes are back the other way here for a rare spell in the Jets' offensive or defensive zone, rather. The Jets are coming back the other way. Red tries to get the ceiling shot, double tap to find its way home. That's off the crossbar and not quite on target. Wendell misses the half volley off the back wall, and Red has to dive across to make a desperation play on that. Tally the other way. That shot's on target. Nobody is home, and the sidewall challenge non-existent to stop that one.
Yeah, and that is just a great touch here from Vitali, noticing that he beat one player, only had one other one to beat, and he did it with a very quick touch. Nothing fancy about it, just put it on target, and it was in. Jets now opening up this lead. Is this game 2 Jets, or is this game 3 Hurricane that we're seeing on the field? I'm not entirely sure. Right now, seeming more likely that it's going to be the game 2 Jets, but the Hurricanes still have some time to prove us wrong.
They do, but that miss on the back wall is not going to help their case any here as Banks gets dunked by Vitali in the corner. That ball dangerously off the ceiling, touched on by Banks for a moment. Red fires it off the back wall. Wendell pass straight down in the shot. Red just threads the needle on that, but can we talk about that pass for a moment?
That was absolutely incredible. I was thinking, man, is he going to try to shoot this? But no, it was a perfect pass right on the money to Red. And if you have not clipped that one yet, that was a fantastic plays. I don't know how many threes plays get play of the week just because of how much space is on the field. But man, oh man, if there was ever one deserving of it, I think that was it.
No kidding. And Wendell, oh my, as that shot gets rang off the post. It's so close for the Hurricanes in getting their first goal of this game. It's not going to come through, but no kidding about play of the week. That's got hashtag POTW written all over it. So clip it and ship it and send it into the appropriate channel in the Discord or on Twitter. And that could very well end up being your play of the week. What a brilliant pass there from Wendell to show just how much offensive capability this Jets team has when they need it. And I think really it is an increase in motivation in this series that we've seen in this game. The Jets dropped one, and they've kind of regained the composure and the control that they had in game number 2. And you get the sense they're not going to let off the gas again in this series.
Yeah, really just taking control of it. Ooh, that one nearly finds its way as well. Wendell, second opportunity at this one. Vitali not going to find the catch there, so now having to fend off this attack from the Hurricane. The Hurricane almost got that goal right away after that ridiculous play of the week opportunity that we saw. Didn't find the back of the net, and now, ooh no, Jets put another one in. Wendell adding one more to his tally for this match, and the Jets now seemingly taking control of the series. They're going to get their third win here and take it. Can the Hurricane get one more off of them, or are the Jets going to be just too much to handle?
Well, we'll have to wait a minute and 10 seconds to find that out, but in the meantime, we can talk about how with Vitali's goal that he scored earlier in this game, you talked about nothing fancy, just a really great quick touch. It was almost a similar type of thing on that pass play there, and Wendell's pass was obviously more flashy, but that early read on the ball from Vitali to get that one centered into Wendell, that should not be understated as to how quality that play was. And that's the type of thing that the Jets have been working with all series long, and it has put them over the top against the Hurricanes. We've got 40 seconds left to play in game number 4 at Utopia Dusk. This is Vitali looking for a musty flick. It's not really going to end up being one, but the touch is enough to get it by the final defender.
Yeah, it wasn't the prettiest musty I've ever seen, but it is a musty all the same. That one's going to go in, gets a little bump for good measure there on the goalkeeper. And yeah, the Jets still in the lead, still going to take this game 4, and they're going to take this series, but are the Hurricane going to sort of just let them take this final game that we've got coming up, or are they going to put up quite a big fight? Are we going to see maybe an overtime in this next game like we saw in the previous series where it was already decided, but they decided, hey, for the heck of it, let's just throw this one in overtime, see what happens, and we see the dominant team get that win? Or who knows? There's a multitude of things that could happen going forward, but it'll all be up to the Hurricane what happens, I believe.
It really will. They've got their fate in their own hands here. What a pinch from Vitaly that's going to send this and keep it aloft on the back wall. Vitaly tries to shoot that directly on target. And Red fails to keep it up. This game is going to close with another dominating win by the Jets. They take the series as well. And now they have their eyes squarely set on a 4-1 because they are, it's worth mentioning, still just the number 2 team in the Forge division. It comes as little surprise, I think, for anybody that's familiar with the Premier League and the players that they're number 2 because the Knights are number 1. And that's about as good a team as you'll find anywhere in MLE and in the Premier League. Not kidding. So, yeah, the Jets really are making a case for themselves here as a team that wants to take over that number 1 spot. There have been talk in the background of roster additions as well for them to even further strengthen their roster. And this is the kind of thing that you could very clearly see the Jets are trying to position themselves to make a deep run in the playoffs, handling teams like this pretty comfortably. But hey, like you said, we got one more game to play. It might not be so comfortable.
Yeah, it might not be so comfortable, and if I'm the Hurricanes, I don't want to make it comfortable for them. I don't care that they're trying to make some sort of push to be number 1 in Forge or number 1 in the Blue Conference. I just want to sort of make it as tough as possible for them going forward and really sort of show them what you're able to do. I don't think that the Hurricanes... I think that the Hurricanes are going to be sort of eliminated at this point from playoff contention after this loss. They had a very slim margin. And that was probably assuming they win every game out from the rest of the season. But hey, they can still give it a go. They can still have fun. They can still try to sort of stick it to their opponents that are higher ranked by taking a few games off of them along the way.
They can. But at the very least in this game, they're going to have to do it from 1-0 down already. It's the Jets with another quick goal at just 6 seconds in. And they've already got themselves a lead, and they've already got control in the offensive end as well. The pre-jump very early there from Wendell is not going to amount to much, though, as they didn't have the right trajectory on that one. TKD fishes for a touch out into the middle. Wendell to the sidewall, Red waiting there for the play. Vitaly tries the pre-flip to get a piece of that ball to the corner. Can't quite find it here. And this is the comfort on the field that we're talking about with the Jets. We saw it in one game with the Hurricanes when I pointed to the fact that they were looking a little bit more willing to go for low percentage plays and cheeky touches. I think we need to see that again from the Hurricanes if they want to grab themselves another win in the series.
Yeah, and it looks like the Jets are going to be sort of following in suit as we've seen that one pre-jump off the ceiling. We've seen them kind of be up a little bit earlier than you would expect for some of these balls, and it looks like the Jets are out having fun, and maybe that's sort of the opportunity that the Hurricanes were needing. They need to sort of invigorate themselves, and that's a fantastic save. Again, Vitaly, not a very mechanical play there, just putting a quick shot on, but the Hurricane are equal to it, able to keep that one out and almost getting one of their own. Not going to be able to find that one, though, as the shot is going to be blocked here by the Jets.
And 2 Jets players had to get a fully credited save on that ball to keep TKD from dunking their absolute lights out. So that was a close chance there for the Hurricanes here. They're pouring another shot on target. Banks pixels away from getting a touch on that ball, but it wasn't quite there. And it's a 2-0 lead here for the Jets.
Yeah, and that's just a good, powerful shot from that position. And Banks, a little bit awkward, not firmly planted on the ground, and those are always just a little bit harder to read, and I think that is probably what played into the fact that he missed that save, and now the Jets put themselves up 2-0, getting a little bit more comfortable as they continue in this 5th and final game. Vitaly now trying to get something to go, a little bit of magic, but he's not going to find it as he has run out of boost there.
Oh, okay. Well, back the other way. Check this play out for a moment. TKD goes off the ceiling, uses an empty jump to stay close to the ball and get it down to the ground faster, and then just fires a pinch straight into the net. So that could be a really, really invigorating goal here for the Hurricanes offense. It's got them started in game number 5, and let's see what they do to build on that now that they've got a little bit of momentum in their hands.
Yeah, well, that was...
Caster's Curse. Oh my goodness.
That was quick.
That was a rough one as far as Caster's Curses are concerned. I get, usually maybe one a match, but they're not often as poorly timed as that one.
Yeah, that was poorly timed there, but that was let's just go back to it for a moment since we were talking about it. That was an incredible goal from TKD. Those empty jumps are rarely seen used in that manner to get off of the ceiling quickly like that, especially when you've got control of the ball. So hats off to him for pulling out that mechanic that I feel like you rarely see on the Rocket League pitch. And the unfortunate circumstances that we now find ourselves in are that the Hurricanes got scored on right after it. So now they've got even more work ahead of them as we continue on in this game.
They've got a save ahead of them as well, had to be made there. Not credited, but definitely kept Red from scoring near the midfield line there, or at the top of the box rather. This is TKD who scored that highlight reel attempt. Flip reset gets it by one, but there's plenty of Red there in the back line ready to make a stop on that one. Red, the pre-jump, working out. The Jets team, though, getting dunked out by the Hurricanes here. Banks tries to kick it out of the zone. TKD now on the sidewall. Flip canceled to get that ball. Continued towards the net. Narrowly touched away by the Jets player. And the Jets defense, I gotta say, is not around as that ball goes off the post. So unfortunate here for the Hurricanes. I thought for sure that ball was going in the net. And still, they find themselves down by 2 goals here. They're trying to connect on a passing play. TKD waiting downfield. And this is a big pickup in the pace of play in this series.
Yeah, huge pickup. It seems like it's a little bit looser feeling as we get down to it. Wendell coming off of the sidewall, nearly finding that touch not to be so. The freestyle sort of play there, not finding its way to the back of the net as the Hurricanes still continue to put shots on target as we see yet another one nearly finding its way in. Red's gonna miss this one. Banks can't get it past Wendell though, and we are continuing to see this 3-1 scoreline that the Hurricane just can't overcome at the moment. Vitale up for this one, looking to get something off of the back wall. Not gonna find it as Wendell passes this one over to Red. We're seeing just sort of a continuous sort of revolving door of pressure as both teams sort of try to slice it on or get it in there as fast as they can. No one able to find the back of the net the last 2 minutes or so as we finally get a shot on target. Not in though is that ball, and the Hurricane now little odd man rush trying to get this one in, but 30 seconds left is not a lot of time for them.
Not a lot. You have to imagine they got to find a goal probably in the next 10 or 15 seconds if they want a fair shot at tying this game when it gets down to it. That's 2 Hurricane players committed to that ball. Banks is going to have to collect and head to the opposite side now. That time I talked about quickly evaporating here for the Hurricanes. That shot, though, is going to be wide on target, and TKD does find that goal. I think right outside the time allotment I gave them, but certainly with enough that they could tie the game here if they can catch the Jets off guard on kickoff.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit of a better position had they done it in the 10 to 15 seconds that you had allotted them, but they got it done either way. They've got some time here, and they've got possession of this ball above the net. This one is on target. Is it going to go in? No! Right off the crossbar. They've got to get this one back the other way quick, but that is so unfortunate to see here for the Hurricanes.
Oh, that is absolutely gutting for the team in green here. No. That ball is going to drop down. That tied game was within an inch of finding its way home. It was an awkward play in front of the net. And unfortunately, the Hurricanes will fall 4-1 as the Jets improve their record now to, 23-12, I believe. Very strong record for them in threes. And a strong team overall in a very competitive Forge division. So the Jets here, even better poised for a playoff run. And unfortunately, I think for the Hurricanes, their hopes of a playoff situation have all but dissipated at this point.
Yeah, definitely. We have just sort of seen the cementing of the position here for the Jets. With the 4-1, they should have enough wins to sort of overtake currently, depending on how their sort of division rivals fare. The Knights, we'll see how they do this week. But depending on how that goes, they could take control of this, or they could just sort of just reaffirm that they are belonging in these playoffs as they sort of go past the rest of the other competitors in the division and the conference.
Well, congratulations to the Jets for their 4-1 win in the Premier League. And with that, we're going to look onward a little bit here. I think next, if my scheduling eyes don't deceive me, we're looking at a twos match now. We're heading into a couple of back-to-back twos games. We had 3v3. we're going to give you 2v2. It's going to be Academy League, back down to the fellows in blue down there. It's Outlaws versus Flames coming up. So a matchup on the other side of the conference equator, I guess you could say. And that match is going to be coming your way very shortly. We want to thank everybody for tuning in so far and watching the 2 matches that we've had. That's it for Mobags and I. It's been a glorious comeback, I would say, my friend. Very nice to cast with you yet again. With that, that's nothing left to do but roll out the red carpet for the last 2 series. So please stay tuned with us. Stick here for more action on MLE Sports GG2, and we'll be back after a short intermission.